Welcome to Tell Me More Stories Told As podcast. Get ready for a bit of an adventure today. We're not just listing old inventions, we're diving deep into the timeline of historic inventions.
Mm.
Think of it like we're uncovering these amazing stories, these moments where someone, somewhere, had this brilliant idea that, well, it changed everything. It's kind of like a treasure map through human ingenuity.
It really is. And what's so fascinating, I think, is that none of these inventions just popped up out of nowhere, right? They're
Hey.
all connected. One thing leads to another, building this incredible chain reaction of human curiosity and creativity across, well, millennia.
Exactly.
Mm.
And today, our journey, our sort of expedition, it takes us from the very, very first glimmers of innovation, way back in prehistory,
Yeah.
right up to the almost science fiction tech of today. Our mission isn't just to see the inventions, but to really get a feel for the shifts they caused, those aha moments that, sent us down a whole new path.
And one thread, a really compelling one we'll follow, is how often innovation pops up in China across different centuries. It wasn't just one place or one time. From ancient weaponry to practical things for everyday life, inventors there were consistently pushing boundaries and really shows how global invention has always been.
Okay, let's dial our time machine way, way back. Middle Paleolithic. Can you even picture a world without the tools we take for granted? So around 279,000 years ago, in Ethiopia, we see the first evidence of hafting. That's attaching stone points to handles or spears. Sounds simple, maybe, but wow, what a leap. Think about hunting.
Oh, absolutely foundational. It shows this early grasp of combining different materials, right, to make something better, more efficient, safer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a one-off idea. Around the same time, maybe 200,000 years ago, Neanderthals in Italy, they were making glue, simple glue from birch tar.
Glue that early.
Yeah.
Imagine what that unlocks. Suddenly you can stick things together for more complex tools, maybe early construction. Neanderthals with adhesives, it really shifts your perspective on how resourceful they were. And then jumping over to South Africa, also around 200,000 years ago, people were making beds. Not just, crashing on the ground, but actually constructing resting places.
Right. And it sounds basic, but it tells us so much about wanting comfort, maybe hygiene too. Some evidence even suggests they put insect-repelling plants in these beds.
Whoa, beds with built-in bug spray. That's amazing. And this drive, this need for basic comforts, it just keeps going. Okay, so between 170,000 and maybe 90,000 years ago in Africa, we get clothing. Anatomically modern humans start wearing clothes. And the really wild part, scientists figure out the timing partly by studying the genetics of body lice.
It's incredible the clues left behind. And of course, to make clothes, you need to process materials. So around 90 to 120,000 years ago in Morocco, we find the first bone scrapers, tools specifically designed for making hides supple for leather. The dawn of textiles, really.
So clothing wasn't just about warmth then.
Well, warmth, yes, but it also lets people move into colder areas, expand their territory. Huge for adaptability.
Okay, this period also gives us hints about, abstract thought, right? Around 135,000 down to 100,000 years ago, beads start appearing. Palestine, Algeria. Little things, but they imply string, maybe thread, maybe decoration, trade.
Exactly. These are some of the first tangible signs of thinking beyond just pure survival, making beads, using them. That requires a certain level of abstract thought, symbolism. And around the same time, 100,000 years ago in South Africa, they're making compound paints, hints of art, symbolic expression.
Paints too, and burials.
Yes. Also around that 100,000-year mark in Palestine, we see the first clear evidence of intentional burials, funerals. This suggests developing social rituals, maybe complex beliefs about life and death.
It's a really profound glimpse into early human society. And then maybe 90,000 years ago, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Harpoons.
So advancements in fishing, getting resources from water.
Precisely. Each step, however small it seems now, was a major advance in problem solving and understanding and using the environment. These are the absolute bedrock inventions that everything else is built on.
Okay, let's jump quite a bit forward. First century AD, Alexandria. There's this brilliant guy, Hero, and he documents the aeolipile, which is basically like a toy steam engine, a
Right.
rudimentary steam turbine.
It wasn't doing heavy work, but it showed the principle right. Steam can create motion, a tiny seed for the Industrial Revolution centuries later. And in that same century, we get the first documented use of respiratory protection. Pliny the Elder wrote about Roman miners using animal bladders over their faces.
To protect from dust, I guess.
Exactly. Dust and fumes, a very practical solution to a dangerous job.
Necessity, right. Always driving invention. And Hero of Alexandria, he wasn't done. He's also credited with the first vending machines.
Sort of. The concept, anyway. Put a coin in, get something out. Maybe holy water in temples, some sources suggest. The idea of automation is there.
Imagine. And the Romans, busy organizing their huge empire. They developed double-entry bookkeeping around this time, too.
Which is fundamental for modern accounting, isn't it? Essential for managing resources, trade, taxes on that scale.
Yeah.
Their organization was incredible.
Okay, let's move to the 5th century. India, the Gupta Empire. They produced the Iron Pillar of Delhi, which is just astonishing. It stood for centuries and barely rusted. The metallurgy is amazing.
Truly remarkable craftsmanship. And at roughly the same time, over in China, a really crucial invention appears. A fully developed horse collar.
The horse collar, why was that so important?
Well, earlier harnesses choked horses if they pulled heavy loads. The new collar rested on their shoulders. It meant horses could pull much heavier plows much more efficiently. A massive boost for agriculture.
Ah, right. More food, fewer horses needed, maybe. The quiet revolution, like you said.
Definitely. And also around this time, 5th or 6th century Eastern Roman Empire,
Yeah.
we see the pointed arch bridge, like the Karamakar Bridge.
Not just prettier than a rounded arch.
Structurally better. It distributes the weight more effectively, allows for stronger, longer bridges. It influenced architecture for ages.
Okay, history fans, buckle up. We're hitting a big one. 9th century, Tang Dynasty China. You've got these alchemists, right? And they're searching for the elixir of immortality.
The secret to eternal life, yes.
And instead, they stumble onto gunpowder. The story goes, maybe a bit legendary, that someone accidentally mixed saltpeter, sulfur, charcoal, and, well, boom.
An accidental discovery with world-changing consequences. Truly one of history's great ironic twists. The first military uses start showing up soon after, in the next period. And by the 11th century, they're even working on early versions of steel-making techniques, like the Bessemer process centuries later, getting stronger metals.
It wasn't all about weapons, though, was it? 9th century China also gives us playing cards.
That's right, a form of entertainment that spread, everywhere. Evolved into countless games we still play. Amazing staying power for a simple deck of cards.
Shows innovation touches everything, even downtime. Okay, 10th century Song Dynasty China. Now we get the fire lance, the earliest actual firearm.
Basically a spear with a gunpowder tube attached. Crude, but the start of something huge. And fireworks also appear then. Initially just bamboo sticks packed with gunpowder, probably for scaring spirits or enemies before becoming celebratory.
Wow. And elsewhere.
Yeah, a fun one. 974, Arab Egypt. The Sultan apparently didn't like getting ink on his hands, so he requested a pen that held its own ink, and voila, the fountain pen is invented.
A royal demand leads to the fountain pen. Love it. All right, 11th century China. Innovation keeps rolling. Su Song builds this incredible astronomical clock tower, and part of it used an endless power-transmitting chain drive. Very advanced mechanics.
Su Song's clock was a masterpiece. It showed such a sophisticated understanding of mechanics, engineering, astronomy, way ahead of its time. Also in the 11th century, in India, Calicut, they developed calico, that printed cotton fabric.
Oh, calico. Yeah, that became hugely popular, didn't it?
Absolutely, a major trade good, and maybe the biggest innovation of the 11th century, communication-wise. Point 108, Song China again. Bi Sheng invents movable type, using baked clay characters.
Movable type. That's enormous, being able to rearrange characters to print different texts.
It was conceptually revolutionary. Bi Sheng's clay type had practical issues. It didn't take off like metal type later in Europe. But the idea of movable type printing starts there. A huge leap for spreading knowledge.
Okay, jump to the 14th century, Ming Dynasty China. We find descriptions of, get this, multi-stage rockets.
It sounds incredible, doesn't it? The basic principle was described centuries before the space race. Just astonishing foresight or experimentation.
Absolutely wild. And by 1326, cannons are definitely appearing in China.
Right. Gunpowder weaponry is evolving rapidly.
And they also invent the naval mine in the 14th century, described in a military manual, the Hulong Jing. Apparently they were putting ox bladders to float.
Ingenious, if terrifying. Constant development of military tech.
Okay, we've covered such a huge span already. From stone tools to exploding ox bladders. We're about halfway through our timeline adventure here. And if you're finding these stories of invention as fascinating as we are, maybe take a moment now to hit that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss any more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world right here on Tell Me More.
It really is amazing how these different threads start to connect, isn't it? Like advances in glassmaking, eventually leading to telescopes and microscopes, opening up whole new worlds.
Totally. Okay, early modern era, 16th century, India gives us chintz, those really vibrant printed cottons from Golconda.
Hugely fashionable in Europe and elsewhere. A great example of global trade and cultural exchange through textile.
And the hookah pipe is also thought to have originated in India around this time, a social custom that spread.
Indeed. Meanwhile, in Venice, 1560, they built the first floating dry dock, a really clever bit of engineering for ship repairs in a city built on water.
Makes sense for Venice. And towards the end of the century, 1589, the stocking frame is invented in England, mechanizing knitting.
A big step towards textile industrialization. And by 1597, the revolver appears. Early versions, but the concept of a multi-shot handgun is there.
Okay, the 18th century, things really start to accelerate, like massively. 1709, Bartolomeo Cristofori in Italy invents the piano.
Revolutionary for music. The ability to play loud and soft pianoforte was completely new for a keyboard instrument. And same year, 1709, Fahrenheit invents the alcohol thermometer. Standardization and measurement, key for science.
1712, Thomas Newcomen builds the first practical steam engine, used for pumping water out of mines initially.
The atmospheric engine. Not super efficient by later standards, but it worked. It was the first real industrial use of steam power. A huge catalyst.
Then the 1730s, we get the octant for navigation. John Kay's flying shuttle speeds up weaving.
And the first mechanized cotton spinning machine. Textile production is really starting to take off.
Then Benjamin Franklin. 1742, the Franklin stove, much more efficient heating. 1752, the lightning rod, pure genius for safety.
Franklin's inventions were so practical, focused on improving everyday life. Really embodies the Enlightenment spirit.
1755, first artificial refrigeration demonstrated. Just a lab thing, but the idea is there.
Right. Then 1760, roller skates. Maybe less world-changing, but fun.
Followed by the spinning jenny, James Watt's vastly improved steam engine in the 1760s.
Watt's engine, with the separate condenser, that was the real powerhouse of the Industrial Revolution. Much more efficient.
And carbonated water. Someone figured out how to make fizzy drinks.
Joseph Priestley, among others. And 1769, Nicholas Joseph Cugnot in France builds a steam-powered vehicle, the first automobile, kind of. It carried passengers.
Wow, a steam car in 1769. Must have been quite a sight. The 1790s just kept going. Sewing machine concepts, the semaphore telegraph for quick messaging over distance.
Chap's optical telegraph system, yeah. Very effective before electricity.
Eli Whitney's cotton gin massively increased cotton processing.
But also tragically fueled the expansion of slavery in the U.S. A complicated legacy.
Then the hydraulic press, lithography printing, plywood, the first motorized air compressor, and a machine for making paper continuously. What a decade.
Just an explosion of mechanical ingenuity setting the stage for the 19th century.
And the 19th century.
Yeah.
The pace just goes into overdrive. 1810s, canning food preservation, first wristwatch, first powered printing press, safety lamp for miners, modern planing machine, stethoscope, electric telegraph starts appearing, Stirling engine, the dandy horse bicycle precursor, tunneling shield.
So much happening. Food preservation, mass communication, medicine industry, all advancing rapidly. The application of science becomes much more direct.
1820s, pattern tracing lathe, first actual photograph heliography, Babbage's ideas for a programmable computer, first lighter, bolt-action rifle, electromagnet, friction match, gas stove, hot blast for iron making, reaping machine for farms, early electric motors, Braille, compound air compressor, corrugated iron.
Babbage's concepts were so far ahead of their time, and you see electricity starting to be harnessed, mechanization spreading everywhere. Braille is huge for accessibility.
1830s, lawnmower. Faraday discovers electromagnetic induction fundamental, first practical electric motor, electromechanical relay, Morse code, electrotyping, steam shovel, steam hammer, photovoltaic effect, seen early solar cell idea, vulcanized rubber, crucial. Daguerreotype photography becomes practical.
The 1830s were huge for electricity and its applications. Faraday's work, Morse code, transforming communication. And Goodyear's vulcanized rubber makes rubber actually useful for, well, everything.
Okay, let's leap ahead a bit. The pace is just relentless. To the 1880s, carbon arc welding, the Maxim gun, first automatic machine gun, smokeless powder, modern efficient steam turbine, AC transformer and power grids, modern safety bicycle, the kind we'd recognize, zinc carbon dry cell battery, cheaper aluminum production Hall Harrow process, the petrol-powered automobile Benz, Bayer process for alumina, first electricity-generating wind turbine, gold cyanidation, ballpoint pen concepts, Edison's kinetoscope early movies, Hertz proves radio waves exist, pneumatic tire.
Wow. The 1880s basically gave us the modern world, didn't they? Electric power grids, the car, early movies, better bicycles, aluminum, foundational technologies.
Absolutely transformative.
Yeah.
And the 1890s kept it coming. Early refrigerants, CFCs, though we know the problems now. Pre-cut cardboard box, simple but huge for shipping. Zipper. Lumiere Brothers. Cinematograph, actual movie projection. Electric oven. Diesel engine. Rubber gloves in surgery. Marconi's wireless radio communication. X-rays discovered. Cloth surgical masks. Polyethylene plastic invented. Rechargeable batteries. Nickel-cadmium, nickel-iron.
Just incredible. Radio, X-rays, plastics, better engines, improved hygiene and medicine, laying groundwork for the 20th century.
And now we hit the 20th century. The digital age is coming. 1930s. First freely programmable computer Zuse Z3. Nuclear fission discovered. Electric defibrillator.
Huge theoretical and practical breakthroughs. Computing and nuclear physics really take off.
1945. Atomic bomb. Microwave oven. Accidental discovery from radar tech. Radiocarbon dating begins.
A year of immense power and new ways of understanding the past and, well, cooking food faster.
1946. Ejector seat. 1947. Holography invented. And crucially, 1947, the first transistor.
The transistor, maybe the single most important invention for the digital revolution. Tiny, reliable, low power. Everything stems from that.
1948. First atomic clock. Unbelievable precision.
Setting the stage for decades of miniaturization and computation.
1950s. First video game. Tennis for Two. Tokamak fusion reactor concept. Float glass process for perfect windows. Thermonuclear bomb. Videotape recorder. Solar battery photovoltaics become practical. Hovercraft. Intermodal shipping container revolutionizes global trade. Hard disk drive for data storage. First AI program concepts. Laser. Optical amplifier. First personal computer ideas. First satellite Sputnik. Integrated circuit. Multiple transistors on one chip. MOSFET transistor key for modern chips.
The 50s were just relentless. Space age begins, computing power explodes with integrated circuits, global logistics change forever, foundational for everything that follows.
1970s. Public key cryptography, essential for a secure internet. Pocket calculator, single-chip microprocessor, the Intel 4004. First space station Salyut 1. Floppy disk. First home video game console Magnavox Odyssey. Fiber optics for communication. Graphical user interface Xerox Alto. Capacitive touchscreen. TCP, the language of the internet. Lithium-ion battery powers our portable world. Rubik's Cube. DNA sequencing methods improve. First experiments with self-driving cars. GPS system starts development. Handheld game console with cartridges, microvision. First cellular network. Early online services like CompuServe.
The 70s are where the digital world we live in really starts to take shape. Personal computing, the internet's foundations, mobile tech, biotech. It's all converging.
1980s. Flash memory. Gene mapping tools get better. First reusable spacecraft. The space shuttle. Early digital music players. First commercial cell systems, NMT, AMPS in the US, CD-ROM. Satellite TV direct-to-home. First laptop computer, Osborne 1. 3D printing starts with stereolithography. First commercial cell phone in the US, the Dynatec Brick. DNA profiling forensics changes forever. First pocket-sized cell phone appears. MP3 and AAC audio compression developed. And Tim Berners-Lee invents the World Wide Web.
The 80s bring computing and communication into homes and businesses in a big way. The web's invention, though not launched till '91, happens here. Mobile phones start shrinking.
1990s. Game consoles get memory cards. First web search engine, Archie. First commercial solid-state drive, SSD. SIM card. First mobile app on Cyan PDAs. First smartphone concept, IBM, Simon. Bluetooth. First mobile game, Snake. DVD. First dating site. Online food ordering starts. Dense wavelength division. Multiplexing boosts fiber optics. Mobile web begins. Early social media sites like 6 Degrees. First commercial genetic cancer test. First blog. Portable MP3 players like the MP Man. Google search engine arrives. DVRs like TiVo. First integrated app store for phones. NTT Docomo's iMode.
The 90s are the dial-up decade turning into the broadband decade. The web explodes, mobile phones get smarter, digital media takes over, everything becomes connected.
And the 21st century? Well, it's still happening. Blu-ray. Geocaching starts. The first podcast, 2004. YouTube. Netflix streaming. The iPhone changes everything in 2007. First banking apps. SoundCloud. Amazon Kindle. Blockchain technology appears with Bitcoin. First solar sail deployed in space. First quantum machines demonstrated. HIV treatment as prevention becomes effective. Cancer immunotherapy emerges as a major treatment. NFTs. CRISPR gene editing revolutionizes biotech, transformer AI models like GPT, and of course the incredibly rapid development of COVID-19 vaccines.
It's just breathtaking. The pace hasn't slowed at all. We're seeing deep integration of digital tech into biology, finance, AI. It's transforming society at an accelerating rate.
What an absolutely incredible journey. I mean, really. From stone tools hammered out hundreds of thousands of years ago to AI and gene editing today, it just shows this fundamental human drive, doesn't it? To figure things out, to make things, to innovate.
It really does. And looking back at that whole timeline, you see how interconnected it all is, how one discovery, maybe small at the time, enabled the next leap forward. It's a cumulative process.
Yeah, and you have to think about all the stuff that didn't make the list, right? All the little tweaks, the failed attempts that people learned from. It wasn't just a few famous inventors. It was countless people tinkering, improving, sharing ideas.
Absolutely. It's a collective story. And it's definitely not over. The challenges we face now, they're huge, but they're also driving the next wave of innovation. That spirit of discovery is still very much alive.
We really hope going through this timeline, this deep dive, has sparked some curiosity for you listening. Maybe made you appreciate the ingenuity behind even everyday objects. Was there one invention on this massive list that really surprised you? Or maybe, what future invention are you most curious or hopeful about? Keep thinking, keep questioning.
Maybe the biggest thing is just recognizing that this isn't just history, it's an ongoing human story. We're all part of that continuous thread of trying to understand and shape our world.
Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure through time, right here on Tell Me More Stories Told As podcast. Until our next exploration into the fascinating stories behind, well, everything. Keep asking questions and stay curious.